Okay, guys, can you hear me? Hi, Patty. Hi, Alan. Hi, Alison. Hi, Judy. Right, give me 1 minute. Okay, I'm seeing yeses now, so you can hear me. Hi, Caroline, Leslie, Katrina. Patty's saying yes. Judy's saying yes, can hear me. Brilliant. Alan, yes, cannot see anything though. Okay, can you see me now, Alan? Hi, Katrina in Australia. Hi, Diane, Janet, Caroline. Wow, everyone's jumping on. Better, Alan's saying. I presume that means you can see me. Got you in vision now, Barbara? Fab. Okay. Okay, well, first of all, let me apologise for Sunday. And if I look a mess, sorry, I've been walking around a golf course with my daughter today and I don't feel too well. I've got a headache, so and I can't see a thing without my glasses. So yeah, so Sunday my camera died right in the middle as I was about to get going with the box. And then for whatever reason, it just would not let me reconnect. And I tried and I couldn't do anything and I refreshed it and it just wouldn't do anything. So I'm sorry, I just had to abandon Sunday's live. But what I was going to do on Sunday, as I was saying, there are lots of boxes in Canvas Workspace online. I didn't actually realise how many boxes there were until I searched boxes. And I dragged about 4 or 5 onto my USB stick. Sunstroke, you're probably right. And it was cold as well in parts. It went from being hot to cold. So, but I feel like I've got one of those sinus headaches. I thought it was hay fever at first. I've had it for on and off since last week. But every time I move my head, I get this like sinusy feeling. So I think it's that. Anyway, I'm digressing, aren't I? So I dragged some boxes onto the USB stick and my thinking was I was going to cut some and just show you what they look like because I've not cut them. And that was what I'd planned to do on Sunday and then it all went horribly wrong. So if all goes well on Sunday, if you want me to try and do that again this Sunday, I'll just move last Sunday's to this coming Sunday. Leslie's saying you miss me. Oh, thank you. We'll let you off this time. Thank you, Alan. No probs, Ashley. Barbara's saying, was good on Monday doing the make with you on the Maker Superstore. Oh, yeah. Hi, Lee. Yeah, right. Okay, so tonight, what I'm going to do, I've had a couple of people message me asking me about the auto trace feature. So these Wednesday nights seem to have turned into like Canvas Wednesday, don't they? Canvas Workspace Wednesday. So I thought I'd have a look at the auto trace. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to change my screen over. So hopefully now you should be able to see my Canvas Workspace screen. Take more water with it, Alan's saying. Alison, thank you. Yes, I am safe. I'm fine. And Marjorie's saying I can see and hear you. Brilliant. That's fab. So at least we're all good this time. Hopefully, fingers crossed, everybody will be fine tonight. Hi, Linda. Don't worry, Linda. I'm only just starting. Okay, so I am in. Hi, Karen. I'm in Canvas Workspace for web. And before anybody asks me why the web, it's just the one I tend to lean to. When I want to start working in Canvas, Canvas for web is generally the first one I go to be perfectly honest. It's the one we've had the longest, it's the one that I feel most comfortable with, and it's the one that I just tend to fire up, if I'm perfectly honest. I have been using the computer-based version more recently because obviously we got the fit text to path, didn't we? And you can only use that in the computer version. And then I'd been doing things with like X and Y coordinates and layers, which you can only use in the computer version. But the auto tracing you can use in either. So I'm just going to use Canvas Workspace for web tonight. Thanks, Donna. It's fine. I really do think it is sinuses now. As I say, I thought I'd got hay fever, because the weather's been nice. But it's just every time I kind of move my head now or bend forward, I'm getting this headache. So I'm convinced it's sinus now. So anyway, I'll be fine. So Donna Joe is saying, I don't know what auto trace is, so this is new to me. Okay, Donna, that's fine. Stick with us and you'll find out. And Donna's saying it's just afternoon in Louisiana. Okay, well, it's about 8 minutes past 6 in the evening now here in the UK. So I'm in Canvas Workspace, as I said. What I've done, if for anybody that doesn't know, like Donna's just said, this icon here that looks like a leaf on a purple piece of paper, it looks like to me, it's actually meant to be the scanner bed, I think. This is the auto trace feature, and basically for anybody that doesn't know, this enables us to take a design or a pattern and turn it into a cut file which we can cut with our ScanNCut. Alison's saying, no, I've gone again. You should just be able to see my canvas mat. Can you just all tell me? I'm looking at it, I'm watching it on my phone and I can see the canvas screen. So you shouldn't be able to see me in full now, just the canvas mat, okay? Christine, auto trace is in both versions, yes. And it's basically the same in both versions, but as I've just said, I tend to lean towards the web-based version of Canvas Workspace. Marcia, don't worry, I'm only just starting. All right, can you just all confirm before I set off on my ramblings that you can see my canvas mat? Lee's telling me you can see the mat, that's fine. I can see it on my phone. That's all you should be able to see really, the canvas mat. Yeah, everything's fine, right, fab. So, it's this icon here, it's the third one along. It looks like a leaf. Okay, everyone's telling me you can see the canvas now, perfect, that's fine. It looks like a leaf on a purple box when you hover over it. So I am going to select this icon and it brings up this box and it says to me image tracing, select image. So it's asking me to bring in something that I want to turn into a cut file. Judy, fine, thank you. All right, I'm getting lots of comments now all saying you can see, brilliant. So before I bring the file in, I just want to point out under the notes section here, okay, this is going to tell you the type of file that you can trace. Ellen, don't worry, I'm only just starting. So you can use JPG, which is JPEG, GIF, GIF, PNG, or BMP, which is bitmap. And it tells you that the file size has to be less than 5 megabytes, which is, I think, a fairly big sized file. So, most things that you would want to try and trace should fit within this criteria. So I went to Google and I went to Google Images and I typed in owl and I asked Google Images to give me anything it could find that was clip art and an owl. Right, so Karen's saying she can hear me, but not the matte screen. Right, okay, you won't see the matte screen now, Karen, because I've clicked into the auto trace feature. Okay, so I'm going to choose the file that I downloaded. So it's going to ask me to choose it. I've got it saved on my desktop. And it's a GIF. This is my owl file here. And it's a GIF, which is a GIF. So I'm going to say choose, and it's going to bring my owl into this image screen here. Okay, and you'll see it's got a red bounding box around it. And this bounding box you can drag in to isolate the area that you want to trace. Is everybody with me so far now? I can hear you but not the mat. That's because I'm not on the mat now. Karen's saying I'm back. Alison, sorry, it was my TV. Okay. Karen, the mat is just at the back. That's fine. Okay, right, everybody's with me so far. Right, so I've got my image here and it's telling me how big it is. And then you've got options. It says outline and colour. And then normally by default, this shows us 5. And then, as I've just explained about the notes here, it tells you about the file format that you can bring in and trace. So the first thing I'm going to do, outline is normally selected by default. I'm going to leave it on outline and I'm going to hit the preview button and we'll see what we get. Rose Lily, don't worry, I'm only just starting. So I've chosen outline and basically the software is literally going to give me the outline of what it sees. So you should be able to see, yeah you can, I can see it now, that there's like a turquoise blue line all around the outside of this owl. And basically that's the cutting line that the machine is going to give me. So if I say OK now, it's going to ask me, does it want to, the software's saying to me, do you want me to paste the owl picture on your mat as well as giving you the outline? And I'm going to say no, I don't want the picture there, I find it distracting. So this is what it's given me. It's basically just given me the outline, which is what I asked for. So if you've got a simple shape and you've scanned it, you know, it may be, say for instance, it may be a pattern piece that you've got from a magazine, or it might be a children's colouring book page, and you've scanned it and saved it as a JPEG onto your computer, and it's a simple shape but you just want the machine to cut the shape out for you. If you choose outline, this is all you'll get. So this isn't very exciting really, is it, at the moment? But we're going to take it a step further. So let me just see what everyone's saying. I've got good, yes, it's all okay from Lee. Thanks, Lee. I've got Patty, I'm with you. So Isaboucher, is it? I can never say that, sorry. Is saying, so when it creates the lines, they are single lines that you can draw or foil. Yes, or cut. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the auto trace icon up here. And this time I'm going to say I want it in colour. And then we'll see the difference. So I'm going to choose colour. Now, when you choose colour, the bit underneath that says remove background becomes an option for you. If I just choose outline, you'll see that that's greyed out. You can't do anything with it because you're only asking the machine, or you're only asking the software to give you an outline of what it sees. And what it sees at the moment is just the outline of this owl sat on this branch. But when I use the colour tracing option, it's asking me, do I want to remove the background? And basically sometimes when you bring things in like this, they're on a square background. And if they are, that will remove the background for you. That's all that is. So I know that this is a black and white image, but I've got colour chosen. And again, it's saying that the maximum number of colours it's going to look for at the moment is 5, which is irrelevant at the moment really because it's in black and white. So I'm just going to leave it like that. But I've got another one that I'm going to show you next, and that's got a couple more colours in it. So that will, when we can play about with this. So for now, I've said yes, colour. I'm going to tick remove the background and I'm going to say preview. And this time now you'll see that I've got lots more blue or turquoise lines. And that's because it's now picking up all these other shapes from within inside this owl. So if I say OK now, and again, I don't want the picture of the owl pasting onto my mat, so I'm going to say no. This time, it's brought this in. Now, even though I said I don't want the background, it's brought this background box in. If I drag that to one side, you'll see it's brought the owl, plus it's brought this outline as well. But also what it's done, it's created all these different elements. If you click on it, you'll see that they're all different elements. Now I'm just going to undo for a minute. So I'm just trying to read what you're saying. So Patty's saying I'm with you. So when it creates the lines, they are single lines that you can draw for. Yeah. Linda's saying I'm bothered about the ends of the branch being open. Okay. Do you mean on my picture, Linda? And then Ellen's saying the blue just went around the yes, how do you fix it? Around the eyes. Okay, this is what I'm going to show you next now. So this is how it came on. Okay, forget this one. This one was the one I did originally, just the outline only. Now we've gone to getting all the detail. So the first thing I'm going to do is I can see there's a box around here. I'm going to select that and see what I get. And I can see that I've got the box, and at the bottom here, the reason I've got the box is because it's picked up a gap in the bottom of the owl. But for now, that's fine. I'm just going to get rid of all that. Now, if I click on this, you'll see that I'm getting lots of different blue boxes. And that's because it's picking up lots of different parts. But also, usually, it will give you an outline as well. So while I'm clicking, I'm looking for a big blue bounding box like this. And this means when I find this, that's not the one I want, so I'm going to undo. Okay, can you see I've clicked on a part and I've got this big blue bounding box around it. So now I'm going to drag that out of the way to see what I've got. And then all these just look like individual elements now, or the majority of them do. So I'm just going to undo and get it all back. Now, I'm not sure how well you're going to see this, but on the eyes and on the body here, I can see that the lines are darker. And when they're darker, it generally means there's a pattern on top of a pattern. So let me try and zoom in on this. So here I can see that this is a darker black than the rest of it. So if I click on this shape and drag it out of the way, I can see that there's another shape underneath. And again, if I do that with that one, oh, not that, I'll undo that. There's something else there, but this is on top. So I'm just going to right click and send it to the back. to get to this. Now I can get to this. So I can see that these were doubled up. So I can get rid of all of these because I don't want them. And then on the eyes, again, if I start dragging things away, this is how I do it. I just click on things and drag things away and see what I'm left with, because you can always undo. Okay, so I can see that this eye of the owl, excuse the pun, is one piece with a hole in it. And then I've got this detail here. So I would get rid of the two that look like the donut. So I would select them and get rid of them. And then I'd put these circles back in the middle to kind of give me the same result. And then everything else, if I move it, I can see there's nothing underneath, so I can hit undo. So these all look like individual pieces now. So let me see what you're saying before I go any further. So Ellen's saying the blue just went around the eyes. How do you fix it? Yes, I thought all the lines have to be joined. Linda Fawcett's saying each branch side is actually a closed image. Okay, so let's just go back to the trace icon. I know what you're saying now. So these branches look as though they're open, but in actual fact, this top branch here is a closed line, and so is the bottom. It's two separate closed lines, not one open line, if that makes sense. So if I cancel that, if I bring over here, you'll see, can you see that it's closed at this end, and so is the one underneath? Does that make sense now? So Linda's saying, you see what I mean now. Christine's saying, I like to use PC version so I can use the layers. Yeah, it's entirely up to you. I just, as I said at the beginning, Christine, tend to lean to the online version more, but you can do exactly the same. So this is what I want, and I want a background around it. Now, I can get rid of this one because this basically is just a mimic of this but with an outline. And then I can bring this one in, and I could try and manipulate it to get rid of the box around it, but because there's an open section here, it would just start distorting the line. So I'm going to get rid of that. And this one that I did originally, which was just the outline, can now be the outline as my background layer. So what I would do with this now, I would start to fill it in with colour. So Alan Green is saying, do you find that there is a maximum time you can undo? I find I run out of undo times, then it becomes a major issue. Not that I can think of, Alan. The only thing I would say is, if you've saved in the middle of doing undos, then no, you can't undo anymore. But I tend to just play around and move things around and, see if there's anything else underneath, and then I undo and it all seems to be fine. Tony, you've not missed anything. I'm just on the first design and we're using Auto Trace in Canvas Workspace online, but I'll be doing another one hopefully after I've done this one. So Tony, don't worry, it's fine. So if I wanted to, you could draw this, as somebody said originally. You could foil it if you wanted to. I would cut this. So what I would do, with the main body of the owl now selected, I think the computer's frozen now. Okay, I would bring the properties panel. In fact, I'll put it on this side. And I would start to fill it in with colour. And you don't have to do this, but the only reason I tend to fill things in with colour is so that you can see them better when I'm, playing around with shapes on the screen, but also it will give you an idea of what, the finished thing would look like if you cut it in card. So let's choose a kind of fawny colour. So this would be your base layer, okay? And then I would just start picking random parts. So I'll pick this one, and then I'll give that a different colour. So we'll make that a lighter colour. And then I'll maybe pick a wing, hold my shift key down, pick the other wing, bring them over, and I'll fill them with colour. And then the main body of the eye, the big part of the eye, I'll bring that over. And then let's say we might fill that with a different colour. Let's see what will show up. And then these two bits here, the two little bits of the eyes, I would put them in and maybe fill them with black. This is his little beak, I think, isn't it? So I'll just give that an orange colour for now. And then like the chest part here, now that's gone behind. Can you see? You can't see it. So while it's selected, I'm going to right click and bring it to the front, and then hopefully this time it's going to sit on the front. We'll give that the same colour that we did the eyes. And then all these claw bits down here and his tail, I'll colour all those, I think, in the same colour, and I'll position them. Right, what we're saying. Somebody's saying they think it's 10 times for undo. I'm not sure. To be fair, I just keep undoing normally. Christine wants to know how I grab two items. Okay, so I'll put these over here. In fact, so you select one with a left click, Christine, and then you let go of your mouse and you press the shift key down on your keyboard, which is the upward facing arrow, the one on its own, and then you click the other item and that selects both. And then you can, position them where you want them. So is everybody okay with that so far? So from a simple GIF image, I've now created a cutting file that's given me layers. Okay, Christine, you're welcome. Now, one other thing I would say, if you wanted to say cut this in black, I'll fill it with black. Then these two little bits in the middle of the eye that I've coloured as black, I'll put them out of the way for now. If I put this back behind, you wouldn't need to cut these at all, because you get the same look just from this being hollow, if that makes sense. So you basically just play around with it and see what you get. So Alison's saying, Marcia's saying yes, I've got a wonderful, I've got spot on, I've got fantastic, I've got yes, so far so good. Okay, now obviously the machine doesn't cut by colour, but what I would do for this particular one, I've got several layers that are all the same colour, so I would drag the background out of the way. I would choose the two eyes and put them together, and you could make them a group. Then I'd choose the nose, or his beak. It's a beak, isn't it, not a nose? And then the rest of it, if this was all being cut in the same colour, I would select all of this, making sure that, nothing's overlapping each other, so it all cuts nicely. Like down here looks a bit close, so I would select these bits and just space them out a little bit more. Just got that little stray bit there. And then either group a section or group this whole piece that's all going to be one colour, and then you just cut that in, you know, say fawn card, you'd cut this in black, cut these two in a brownie colour and this little bit in the orange, and you wouldn't need these two bits of black because, as I say before, when you position them you see black through them anyway. So is everybody okay? I've got so far so good, very nice. So if I wanted to use a design like this for rhinestones, how would I go about it? Something like this in rhinestones, Tink, might be a bit too detailed with all this detail on, but you could make this background, you know, you could try making that into a rhinestone design, you know, by going into your premium functions and seeing if you can turn it into a rhinestone. But for now, I'm just, you know, dealing with the auto trace. So this is, as I say, this started off as a GIF, basically like a line drawing. And I've brought it into the workspace and I've created an outline for it. I created all the parts for it. And this can now be cut in card or, Christine, yes, you could cut it in vinyl. You could use registration marks, Christine, if you wanted to. Yes, if you were going to cut it in vinyl. Let me just make my page a little bit smaller. You could cut it in heat transfer vinyl and put it on a bag or on a t-shirt. Or you could, as I say, you know, make it into a card front or a scrapbook page, whatever. I'm just kind of basically showing you how to take what started out as a line drawing and then, you know, make it into something else. So who was it asked? Was it Tink? Yeah, so this has got too much detail, I think, to be turned into a rhinestone. But as I say, the outline you could do. I don't want to spend too much time doing rhinestones because I did a whole thing on it the other week, but I'll just get to the outline and see what we get. So you could cut, you know, the outline like that in rhinestones. You could try and see if you can fill it and see what it looks like. You know, you'd lose a lot of the detail, I think. Probably the outline would be better. But yes, you can turn it into whatever you want, really. So I'm just going to undo that. So this was my first. Let me just undo this. Put this all back together. Grab these bits. Put them down there. Put the eyes back in and his little beak. So that is one design that started out as this, okay? So Janita's saying you can outline in rhinestones. Yeah, that's what I've just done. Tony's saying thank you, I'm learning so much. Edna just got here. Have I missed a lot? No, Edna, you've not. You've not missed a lot. I started at around about 10 past. So it will be recorded. You'll be able to go back and watch it, but I'm going to do another one in a minute anyway. Janita's saying it looks awesome. So would that image be in public domain? I can't remember. I literally went to Google, Leslie, and I just typed owl clip art. I'm not personally going to share it just in case it's not, but there's no reason why you can't make, you know, a file from it yourself so long as you're using it for personal use, I would think, unless there's any specific copyright on it. But usually if you find something on the internet and you just, you know, tracing it for yourself, and you're just going to use it for yourself personally, or, you know, to give as a gift, and you're not selling it, then you're generally okay. But I'm not going to specifically share this gift because that's not fair. You know, it's better for you to go and find your own. So what forgot here? Alison's saying, wow, learn something new every time. Thank you. Save money. Yeah. Jay Lee, I have arrived too late, but this is fascinating. It's all right. It'll be recorded and you can go back and watch it. But I'm going to do another one in a minute that's a little bit more detailed. So Christine's saying, are there any designs you recommend we stay away from, like too much work? Yeah, I mean, when you're starting off, just start off with something simple. Don't try and be over ambitious. That's all I would say. Because you don't know, you know, how the file is going to trace. You don't know what result you're going to get. Like at the beginning where I said I knew I had double layers here on the bits on the chest, you might not notice those, and you bring those into your machine and it'll end up cutting it twice. And depending on what you're cutting it for, it could end up, you know, being a mess. So just choose simple designs. Right, so Sheila's saying, how to send to machine. Do you send it in its separated parts? Sheila, that's what I was just saying. I would group the like colours together. So say I would, you know, put this little beak out of the way, put the body out of the way, you know, do it like that and send it to your machine, and then you can cut it in its separate parts. So Leslie's saying okay. Alan's saying, would the original input make any difference if it was a JPEG or a PNG? No, you just need to try it, Alan. I just happened to find this and it was a GIF. The next one I'm doing is a JPG. So, you know, you just try it. So long as it's one of the formats that's mentioned here, you shouldn't have a problem unless it's something that's, you know, too difficult. So as long as it's a JPEG, a GIF, a PNG or a bitmap, that's the format that the software likes. Okay, so I'm just going to put this back together for now, very roughly. I'm going to make all these bits here a group. Excuse me. I'm going to get rid of the two little black bits for the eyes because I don't need those. And then I'm just going to save this up here in my project. So I'm just going to call it Owl and save it. So now I am going to choose a new blank page. I'm going to come back to the auto trace icon again. And this time I've got a little bird, which is here. And this is a JPEG. And again, I went to Google and I think I'd literally just typed in cute bird. I know that's a bit pathetic, but that's what I did. And this is what I found. And this one is a JPEG. I'm just going to have a quick drink and try and read what you're saying. So Lisa Scott is saying, would you close off each end of the limb? What limb? Let me cancel. Let me go back to my file. What do you mean by the limb, Lisa? Do you mean the branches? Barbara, Alison's saying, can you show me how to save? Does it save as a cutting file? Right, okay, yeah, I'll show you in a minute. What happens when you outline your image is not all blue. That's what I'm going to show you next, Ellen, okay? Right, Alison, you want to know how to save it and does it save as a cutting file? Yes. So if I click on any part of this design and come to the properties box, you'll see in Canvas Workspace Online, it will save it as a cut or a drawing line. So you can then choose, Alison, when you get this on your machine, whether to draw it or cut it. If you do this auto tracing in Canvas Workspace for computer, it automatically saves everything just as a cut line. If you want to physically draw it, you've got to tell the computer-based version that you want it to be a draw line. Okay? So just going back to saving again, this is what I was saying. I would group all the light colours together. So everything that's the same colour, I would put together on my mat. So the eyes I'd put down here, the beak I'd put down here, and the body I'd put like that. And I would save this file, give it a name up here and save it, and then download it to my machine. And when I bring this onto my mat machine, it will come on in these elements. If you can divide your mat up into sections and put card on, you know, that covers this area and the beak and the eyes, you can cut it all in one go. Alternatively, when you bring it into your machine, you can just say, right, I'm going to cut the body, so I'll get rid of all these and I'll just cut the body. And then when it's finished cutting, you just hit the home button, call up your pattern again, and get rid of the bit you've just cut and cut your next bit. Okay? Donna's saying that's so cute. Sheila's saying that's so cute. Lisa's saying, oh, right, okay. Right, Lisa, these branches are not open. If I try and zoom in, I'll take the fill out so you can see what I mean. So these branches are not open, Lisa. They're filled in. It's two separate branches. So you've got a branch here that's filled in at this end that attaches to the body, and the same there and the same there. So they don't need filling in. They're not open ends. They're automatically closed ends. Right, so Alison's saying thank you, okay. The branch is made up of two closed lines, so it needn't be closed at the ends. Correct, Charlotte, yes. Leslie's saying, to think my machine has been in a box for nearly a year. I know, Leslie, you're learning so much, aren't you? Alison's saying, understood, brilliant. Right, fab. So, let me just go back to 40%. So, as I say, you know, we started off with a black and white lined drawing, which was a GIF, which I've shown you how to turn into a piecing of some description. Doesn't have to be cutting card, it could be vinyl, you could draw it, you could do whatever you want. Christine, you don't need to close the branch because it's already closed. It's two sections. Thanks, Leslie. Right, I'm going to move, it's 6:45, so I'm going to move on to the next one. So I'm going to go back to a new blank page. And let's have a look at the little bird, because this is a bit more detailed and it might help you to see. So I'm going to come back to the auto tracing. I'm going to choose the file. I'm going to find that little bird on its branch. And again, the first thing I'm going to do is say outline. It's 5 colours by default. I'm going to hit preview and see what I get. Now, from the outline, I can see that it has got most of the design. So I'm going to say, okay. I don't want the picture of the pink bird pasting onto my mat, so I'm going to say no. And this is what I've got. So if I zoom in and show you, okay, so you can see it's picked up all the outline of the branch with the bird on it, and it's picked up the outline of these flowers and leaves. But if we go back, you'll see that there's more detail to this bird. There's a flower, there's a wing here, there's a little kind of like round circle on the face, which I probably wouldn't try and do. And depending on that, you can see the size of this, it's only small, it's just under 4 inches by just under 5. So if I can get the lashes, I'll try and get the lashes, but if not, I would probably be tempted to draw those in after I'd cut it. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to ask it to do it in colour and see what difference I get. So I'm going to say colour. I know I've got 2 shades of pink and I've got a green, that's 3, and I've got a branch, that's 4. So I'm going to leave it on 5 for now and say OK. I don't want to do that. I'm going to go back, let me get rid of it. Go back there. So I'm saying colour and I'm going to say preview. Now, it's, to be fair, it's not really picked up anything different. So I could try increasing the number of colours and hitting preview and see if it picks up anything else, and it's not. I'm trying to get the flower and this wing. So the way I would deal with this, let me catch up with what you're saying. If we wanted a full branch, we would have to open the path on the tips of the branches. Yes, you would. But if she wants a solid branch, yes, she is correct. If she wants a solid branch, she would have to open up the paths and then join them together. Okay, Christine, you're fine. You understand now, right? That's fine. Leslie's saying, got it, outline yes first, then go back for detail. That's the way I would do it. But you play with it. You know, this is just how I do it. I'm not saying that this is the right way. It's just how I mess about with things and see if they work for me. You might find another way, like somebody else has just said. You know, they prefer to do it in the online version and they can mess about with layers. If that's what you want to do, you do it that way. I'm just kind of showing you the basics, and then you can all just, you know, go and find yourself some drawings off the internet and have a play and see what you think. Right, so what I'm going to do now, I want to try and get this leaf. I've tried increasing the colours and that's not helped me. So I'm going to drag in, my software keeps freezing. I'm going to drag in the red box to isolate this wing and see if I can get the software to pick it up. Again, I've got options. I can try outline and I can say preview. Now it's trying to pick it up, but it's doing something weird here. It's got the rounded part, but then it's going off. If you can see the red box. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come to colour. I'm going to leave the red bounding box around it and I'm going to say preview. Now this time it looks as though it's picking up the what I want, but some extra bits. So I'm going to take the number of colours back down to 5 and say preview and see if that makes any difference. And then I'm going to say OK and see what I get. So I'm going to zoom in and you can see I've got what I wanted, and then I've got these extra stray bits that I can get rid of. So this time, let me bring this over here. If I come to the properties box and put the properties box out of the way, and then I choose a nice pink, that might be a bit too, let's choose a paler one. So I'm only filling it in so you can see I've got the wing. I'm going to make that darker. Put that into position. And then I've got these flower and leaf elements, which I'm going to zoom in on. So I'm going to pick the 2 flowers and then we'll make them a completely different colour. We'll make them a dark colour. Can't remember where they all were now, so I'll leave them there for now. And then the leaves, I'm going to select the leaves and choose a green. I'm going to choose those two, choose these two, and those two, and make them all green. I'm going to move the flowers out of the way. I'm going to group all these leaves together. And then let me just go back to my picture and see where they are. So they're just above that leaf, aren't they? So I've got one that needs to go in there and one that needs to go in there somewhere. Right, what are you saying? If it works for you, that's how I will start. This is fun. I've got, don't we have to remove the background? This is better than watching my favourite film. So much fun. Don't you just love it? Okay. So if I click, I'll move the leaf out of the way. If I click on this, and I'll take the colour out for now, there's no ungroup option. So this time is one background. So where we had the owl and we clicked on it and it was separate parts and we tried to find the background, this isn't in separate parts. This looks as though it's been drawn as one complete shape, and that's what the software's picked up. And the only inner parts are the wing, and then there was a little flower on the head. There was the eye and that small circle. So if I fill this back in with that pale pink, don't know which one I had now, and then put this over here, and then if I go back, I'm going to try and isolate this flower now. So I'm going to move the red box up, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to say outline first and preview and see if it picks it up, and it's doing odd things again. So I'm going to say colour and preview, and this time it's picked up the flower, I think, so I'm going to say OK. And now it's brought the flower in and a little bit of something that I don't want, although the flower's not looking that great, to be fair. But you know, I'm only showing you, and this is what I mean, you kind of have to play around with it to see what results you get. So let's fill that. What colour did we do? So this is kind of what we've got now. The little bit of definition on the cheek, I would be tempted to either colour that in with a pen, because that is going to be tiny. To get a circle, I mean, this flower is just under an inch by just over half an inch. So that little circle for the cheek is going to be so tiny for your machine to cut. So the definition for like the eye and the cheek, I would be tempted to draw in. I would get the bulk of the design traced as much as I could. And then once this is cut, I would get, you know, like a little black pen and draw lashes in, and just get a little bit of a coloured pen and put the cheek on. And obviously once you've got this, you can, you know, right click and group it all together, and then you could make it bigger. It's entirely up to you. But I'm just auto tracing the file that came in as it came in. So let me see what you're saying now. Quilt Stamper saying, I have been watching you for years. Thank you so much for all your wonderful... Oh, you're welcome, Quilt Stamper. Thank you. Alison's saying, after sharing your time with us, you deserve a hot toddy for your headache. Thank you. Thank you again, Ashley. Learned something new and fun. Okay, so again, I would do the same thing. If you were going to cut this in vinyl or in card, I would put all the like colours together. So let's just say this is the main body. That's all going to cut in one piece. This flower and these two flowers, you may want to put together and cut those in one colour. So I would section them off as, you know, like this. The wing separately, and again with the leaves. Something like the leaves where they're positioned in a particular place, I would probably leave them grouped and cut them like this, and especially if you were cutting this in vinyl, because you could pick these all up together, and then when you've got your main design, you know, on your bag or your t-shirt or whatever, you know that these leaves are going to be kind of positioned in the right place. But again, it's all it's how it looks to you, isn't it? You might decide, well, I want those leaves in different places, so you know, but this is how I would go about taking what, you know, initially starts off as a line drawing and making it into a cut file. And this would be the same if you had you know, a pattern, you know, say you had a pattern in a book, you could scan it into your machine. I don't know if you all realise, but when you go to the scan icon on your machine, you've got direct scan, you've got scan to cut data, and then there's a third option, which is basically scan to JPEG. So your ScanNCut machine can scan documents. If you've got a document that you need scanning and you can't get, you know, to a post office to get it scanned, or, you know, your scanner's broke or your printer's broke, you can scan documents through your ScanNCut machine and it saves them as JPEGs. So if you've got, say, a pattern which, you know, you quite like the look of, but you want your machine to try and cut it out for you, you can use scan to machine. It will save it in your machine as a JPEG, and then you can bring that JPEG into your Canvas workspace and auto trace it. So you can turn, I won't say anything, but you can turn more or less anything into a cutting file. Right, Barbara Hart is saying, think this could be a bit of a game changer. So much to pick from online. Definitely. And if you know, if you've got members of your family, or, well, you know, you've probably mostly got family members, but if you've got, say, somebody in your family that's got a particular hobby, or there's a child in your family that likes something in particular, you know, go on Google, have a look if there's any free designs there that you can use, bring them into your machine and make a cut file for them. So here's a voucher saying we could always use a 1/16 hole punch if we wanted to. Definitely, yeah, anything. I mean, just because we've got a ScanNCut machine doesn't mean to say we have to take away our creative bit, does it? You know, it doesn't all have to be cut with the ScanNCut. Cut the main elements and then play about, like you say. I would probably draw the blush cheek in and the eyelashes, or like you say, you could use a hole punch and cut a little circle. I would not try and cut a circle this tiny that's down here under this eye. It must be, you know, minute. I just wouldn't do it. So, you know, there's leeway, isn't there? You're using your machine to help you as best you can, but it doesn't mean that we've got to use the machine for everything. Right, what else are we saying? Lynn Gaskell is saying, sorry, just discovered you were live. We'll catch up later. Yeah, that's fine, Lynn. Fingers crossed, no problems tonight, so it should all be recorded. Mandy's saying, I've never understood the 3 different scan descriptions. Scan to cut data doesn't make sense to me. Right, Mandy, scan to direct cut is basically if you have something that you want physically cut out. So let's say you've got a stamped image, you've stamped it in black on a white piece of paper, and you want the machine to be your electronic pair of scissors. So you would use direct cut. You would just put your white piece of card or paper on your mat that's got your stamped image on it, send it through on direct cut, and your machine will cut it. Scan to cut data means you can save what you've scanned into the machine, and that is so useful sometimes because you can add outlines to make matting layers, which you can't always do if you just use direct cut. I know we can put an offset line on, But sometimes some patterns or some of the shapes in your machine won't allow you to put an offset on them. So if you draw them and then use ScanNCut data, you can save, that pattern into your machine. And because it's saved into your machine, when you call it up, you can then add an outline. And then scan, the third option, which isn't really used very much and people don't tend to talk about it, is basically just using your machine as an outright scanner. It will save whatever you scan as a JPEG. So, let's say you want a copy of your passport. You can, providing it can get through the scanner, passport might not have been a good analogy, but, something flat that will go through the machine, you can make a scan of it and send it, and save it because it creates a JPEG for you. I've just seen someone say gem for the eyes. Yeah, anything. Ellen saying thank you so much. Lisa saying thank you, Ashley, you're such an awesome teacher. Oh, thank you, Lisa. Martha, I'm going to try my granddaughter's birthday card. Okay, Charmaine, hi. Hubby had a Zoom meeting, so I missed it, but we'll go back and watch from the beginning. Don't worry, Charmaine. As I've just said, hopefully, fingers crossed, everything's recording tonight and you'll be able to go back and watch. So, the possibilities are endless. They really are. I don't know if some of you know, but in the Disney machine, a lot of the designs in the Disney machine, the ones that are in the machine specifically, you can resize and you can flip and you can rotate, but you can't put outlines around them to make like matting layers. So a while ago, I made like a big pop out of Disney designs. It'll be on my blog and it's on my Instagram page. And if you look at those Disney designs that are coming out of that pop-up box, they've all got a layer behind them, like a black layer behind them. And the way I did those was to draw the Disney designs first, and then I scanned them back through to the machine using ScanNCut data and saved them, and then I was able to make a matting layer. So, understanding how the scan features work is a big advantage. So Mandy's saying thank you for explaining. Alison's saying the possibilities of making cards too. Yeah, anything. As I say, sometimes you might want something that's a specific design for somebody that's, you want to make them something individual, and there's not necessarily a shape in your machine, but you might be able to find, an image of it on the internet, or you might have something in a book that you could, scan, and then you can make a cutting file for it. Donna Jo's saying, I enjoyed this so much. Thank you, you're welcome. Alison D is saying 2 of backgrounds to make main card. Yes, if you want to make a shaped card, you mean, Alison? Yeah, you can make them into shaped cards. Like the owl before, that would be good if you put 2 together and welded it and then put all the shapes on the front. That would make a card. The only thing I would say about the owl is it probably wouldn't stand. You'd have to weld a rectangle onto the bottom of it maybe to make it stand up. Right, has anybody else got any questions? Because it's like 7:10 now. I can just see Lynn Gaskell saying can, but I don't know what I've missed. Have I missed something? Christine saying thank you for the class. Great class, thank you for sharing your talents. Very clear and helpful, I've got from Janet. If anyone can just tell me if they've got any questions. Lisa's saying thank you, always helpful. Yes, okay, Alison's saying. Mandy's saying brain's working overtime now. Could you go on to make these auto-traced images into a rhinestone file? Yes, man. Who's just asked me that? I've just read it. Dearie me. Mandy, yes, you could. Somebody else asked that at the beginning. But again, it depends how detailed. Something like this bird, if you go to your premium function and go to rhinestone and choose an outline, you know, you could try and make it into a design and see. You'd have to play around with it and see what results you get. Let me try changing the stone size to a smaller size. I would just say, just try it. You know, find a file, see if you can make a cutting file for it. If it turns out okay, see if you can make a rhinestone file out of it. If it doesn't, you know, just chalk that one up to experience and look for something else. Alison, you're welcome. Linda's saying this was so good, I can't wait to try it. So Jay Lee is saying, I am totally new to this, but have already watched a number of your shows to understand what the instruction manual means. A wonderful new dimension of card making to keep me quiet for years to come. Oh, well done, thank you. Rose Lily, just want you to know I appreciate you answering my emails. You're welcome, Rose. Hope it helped. He's saying that you finally got the 3 files downloaded and can use on your machine. This is all new to me, so please forgive the questions. You're welcome. That's what it's all about. This whole lockdown thing was so that we could all just, you know, share some time together and share how to do stuff. Alan Green, thanks so much again. Very clear instructions and very useful as always. Cheers, you're welcome. Leslie Ashley saying you are such a star, giving us your time twice a week, live and recording in between. You're welcome, Leslie. Mandy's saying she's got to go. Thank you, that's fine. I'm going to in a few minutes. Lynn's saying I was asking why a 0.25 inward offset didn't give me a matte layer 1/4 inch smaller. On where, Lynn? I can tell you why. I can tell you what the answer is, but I'm just curious to know. A 0.25, it divides that. If I'm understanding what you're saying, it divides it by top and bottom and side to side. So basically it will give you a 0.12 outline top and bottom. If you want a full 1/4 all the way round on all 4 sides, you'd have to add a 0.5. Does that make sense? Oh, I've got hearts from Caroline, thank you. Barbara's saying, made 4 cards today using what I have learnt from you. Now to practice even more. Brilliant, well done, Barbara. Is about just saying, bye everyone, need to finish up dinner for tonight. Have a wonderful day, evening, depending on where you are. Stay healthy and stay safe, everyone. Yes, same to you, thank you. So Lynn, has that answered your question? I just need to get my drink, sorry. Thank you, Janet, same to you. Speak to you again soon, hopefully. So Mandy's saying, I've had my machine over 3 years and I've binge watched your videos and live streams and I'm finally starting to feel comfortable. Brilliant. Well done, Mandy. Thank you. Making you more confident to have a go, especially loving Canvas Workspace for PC. Brilliant. Alan's saying, didn't realise that about the offset. Just a basic shape. Yeah, normally when you're doing an offset, it will, depending on the offset that you've asked for, it will split that offset between top and bottom and side to side. So if you want something that is exactly 1/4 inch bigger on all 4 sides, you've got to put an offset of 1/2 inch, because the 1/2 inch will be divided in 2 for top and bottom and side to side, if that makes sense. Lynn, what were you doing it on? Were you doing it in Canvas or on the machine? Alison, night to you all too. See you Sunday. Yeah, thanks Barbara, bye. So it was a basic shape, Lynn. Was it in Canvas or was it on the machine? Night, Alan. I'm just waiting for Lynn to answer me. So Lynn's saying you put 0.25 and it gave you a half an inch. Is that what you're saying? And if that's what you mean, that's because it'll give you 0.25 at the top and 0.25 at the bottom, which is half an inch difference. If you only want 0.25 all the way round, you would have had to have put in 0.12. Does that make sense now, Lynn? Excuse me, what was your shape, Lynn? You're saying it was canvas. Excuse me. What was your shape? Oh, dear me. Right, I can't see you answering me now, Lynn. Oh, you understand now. Right, okay. Do you want me to show you, or are you fine with it? Let's just grab a box. Oh, didn't want to do that. Just a basic square. Okay, so if I make this basic square, four inches. So if I ask this for an offset and I want to make it 0.24 outward, it's now made it nearly half an inch bigger. If you only want it to be a quarter inch bigger, That's not what I want, is it? Keep going to the wrong thing. Offset, you need to make it 0.12 and say OK. And now you can see it's 4.24 and the original was 4. So you've got to allow for it adding or taking away. So whether you're using an outward offset or an inward offset, it will always put the calculation split between the top and the bottom and the sides. So this one started off as 4 by 4 by 4 by 4. This one I put 0.24 because there's no 0.25 in under the edit icon, and that's given me just under 4.5 inches. And this one I put 0.12, so that's 0.12 at the top and at the bottom, which gives you the 4.25, and 0.12 at the sides, which gives you the 4.25. Okay, so you've got that now, Lynn. Yeah, I knew there would be a mathematical calculation going on there. Just a basic shape, that's fine. Okay, right, that's fine. Okay, so unless anybody has got any more questions, I'm going to go because it's 7:20. Good night, Linda. Thank you. You're welcome, Lynn. Right, so I'll just give it a minute and see if there's any more questions, and then if not, I'm going to go. And hopefully I will see you all on Sunday. Charlotte, you're welcome. Thank you. Charmaine, thank you and good night. Jaylee, you're welcome. Thank you. Alison, thank you. Yes, Mandy, thank you. Same to you. Which box, Rose? Jaylee, 5 o'clock on Sunday. Just waiting for Rose to tell me which box she wants to know how to put together. Lynn, it's fine, don't worry. You're welcome. That's what these are for. There's a video, Rose Lily. Go to my channel and in the search box type pop-up box. There's an actual video. It's going back a good few years. It's one of the very first ones I ever did, but it is there. Thank you, Jaylee. Right, I'm going to go, guys. So hopefully I'll speak to you all on Sunday. All take care, stay safe, and I'll see you all soon. Thank you.